Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to the 7th episode of the Dadaxi. I'm really happy that you're here with me today again. And yeah, today's episode is kind of an add on to the last one, which was about spirituality and why I think it's rather political to be spiritual in these days. Because I realized that I never really like explained in detail what I think spirituality is and what I think energy is. So I thought that this might be interesting to know because I only kind of touched it a little bit in the last episode, but I think maybe the last episode will make a little bit more sense with this episode or the information contained in this one. And just so you know, I have to record this podcast in the evening at the moment because there is a construction site just on the other side of the street, and they do really loud work during the day. So it will be harder for me to stay focused, but I will do my best. Okay, so what do I think spirituality is? I don't think that I could cover all of it in 40 minutes, but what I really wanted to share and what is important to me and what is kind of the basis on which all of my spiritual work builds upon is that we have this center point in our being, which is called the Hara in the Vedic tradition. And it's said that it's the seat of the soul. Some describe it to be like 2 centimeters below your belly button. Others describe it as like 4 fingers width below your belly button. I believe, or for me, it feels very close to the root chakra when I work with that energy or the energy that's seated there. So the Hara in all traditions, it has different names in different traditions, but what it's like the same in every tradition is that it's the center of your being and it's the source of your being as well. So not your head or your heart or the center of your being or where things originate, but your Hara. Yeah. And like when we look at an embryo that is fed through the navel when it's still in the womb, this makes a lot of sense. So that's actually a pretty good picture. I will take this one. So you can imagine a baby being in the womb and it gets fed through, I don't know the word right now, but like that line that goes into the navel. So all the food that the mother eats gets to the baby one way or another. Of course, processed, so it's good for the baby and healthy. So when we are born, this cord gets cut. So the physical cord gets cut, but the metaphysical cord that kind of connects us to source and that connects us to God or the universe or however you want to call it, it doesn't get cut. So that connection is still found in exactly that place. And the more we work consciously with that area of our body and the more we meditate with that area of our body, the more we can feel that there is a certain kind of energy. I mean, this again depends on our levels of awareness and consciousness and how much we already are in a healthy relation with our physical body. But like we can sense energy moving there. And that energy is the Kundalini or the Koyopa. Kundalini is a word from Sanskrit and Koyopa is the name for the same energy from the people of Turtle Island or North America. And also the Mayan people called it Koyopa. It means inner lightning. So working with this energy in the body is also a shamanic practice that I do and that a lot of other people do. It's phenomenological. I don't know if I said that word right. It's kind of a tongue breaker. So you really go with the phenomenons that show within your body when this Koyopa or this inner lightning moves through your body while you work with clients, or while you meditate with a group, or while you give coachings or whatever. You actually pay a lot of attention towards this energy and how it moves through your body, through your physical body, I have to say here. And so this Kundalini or Koyopa, like many say, and I am one of them, that like awakening this inner lightning or this energy and really sending it through the body without proper training can kind of fry your inner circuits. And I've seen that a lot with people, like, because, you know, it can also happen if you take too many psychedelic drugs. So I've seen people overdose on LSD, which really fried their inner circuits with the energy. Because, you know, like this hara, it is connected to the universal source. And the universal source is the source of everything. So it contains so much information at such high speed and such a level of intensity that you have to have the aura and the physical body and the clean chakras to actually be able to process this energy. Yeah? Otherwise, it will just fry your circuits. It will really burn certain meridians. Like, as far as I've seen it for myself, it can be repaired, but it's like, it's not that easy. Because once, like, there has been too much energy being processed through them, through the meridians, they kind of like, they fizzle out, so to speak. So there needs to be done a lot of repair work that needs to be done before one can actually like send chi through these meridians again. But I feel like I already went a little bit astray here. So what I wanted to say is that, okay, you have this navel. Imagine you have this like metaphysical navel, which is at the center of your body. If you look at your body as a whole thing, below your physical navel, and it constantly gets fed source energy, yeah? And the more you work with consciousness, the more you work with awareness, the more you meditate or do yoga and, you know, like do spiritual practices to just focus your attention on yourself rather than on others or judging others, but rather, what is my process? How can I reflect? Not necessarily to become a better person, but maybe to feel more peace inside. Like really, the paths that we follow to just feel more happy within ourselves are the paths that make us capable of containing more of this energy. And the more we are capable, the more flows. That's just normal. But there are certain breathing techniques and other techniques that allow us, just as psychedelic drugs, that allow the Kundalini or the Koyopa to rise very quickly. And that's when this burnt out circuitry story can happen. But back to the root. So this metaphysical navel, the hara, it is the place where Shakti lives inside all of us. Yeah, Shakti being the primal energy, the one first energy from which all emanated. Like, as I said before, source or God or the universe or consciousness or whatever. It's a super, super strong energy. And it lives in our hara. And it kind of gets sent into our being from the great beyond, from source itself. And then it gets processed in our hara, and the energy kind of dissolves in the hara through that process and goes into our cells and gets transported in the meridians as chi. So life force energy or chi is actually the energy that emanates from that Shakti that lives at the base of our spine. And when we do not build up the bridge of like conscious relation to all of our chakras, all of our physical sensations, when we do not learn a healthy way to deal with our thoughts and emotions, and then we go on and we activate the Kundalini and we like try to become as spiritual as possible in a very short amount of time, it can happen that this kind of circuits get damaged, yeah, that the inner meridians get damaged because there is too much energy flowing. And also, if we do not take care of ourselves, like if we take a lot of numbing drugs, no matter if they're pharmaceutical or from the black market, the more this inner Shakti starts to slow her dance, so to speak. And we can still have a lot of physical energy, but then we will not have a lot of spiritual energy. And we will not have a lot of sense for the world and for ourselves and for others. And it's just like you can really imagine how your physical body and your aura is this vehicle. And this Shakti and Chi that lives inside of it is like the light that glows in that vessel. And with some it glows very strongly and everyone can perceive it, although they may not be able to name it. And for others it glows very dimly, so to speak. And it's just like a whisper. And both extremes are not what we, on a spiritual path, in my opinion, are aiming for. Because there needs to be balance, yeah? So if you have a lot of chi, which happens to be the case with me, since I was born, you really need to learn to regulate it. And you're mostly on your own because there are not many people who can teach you that, yeah? Because we don't have mystery schools all over the place anymore. Because I think they need to be over the place because you need to really find people that you trust with this process, yeah? And you resonate with different people. So, and there is not like a public way of the initiate anymore. There is no shamanic tradition. So you have to kind of find your own way of managing it, you know, like we sometimes joke that I'm super good in manifestation. I just tend to manifest things that maybe aren't that nurturing to me. And here we go to another topic, or what I said before already a little bit. And that is that, you know, this energy, as I said before, no matter, like even if your light is very dim, this energy will produce the chi that then fills your metaphysical body and also is connected to your physical body. And this energy fills the vessel that you are here on the planet, and it comes from the great beyond. And we could call that the soul, yeah? Because there is no like one individual soul. There are like groups. It's too big of a topic to go into right now, but so like this energy that gets sent from source gets sent through a certain soul group of origin and then through your higher self into your navel, and you are actually the lighthouse that is supposed to send this energy out. Yeah? That's my understanding of spirituality. That you are here to be a lighthouse, and each of us is a lighthouse, and we are here, we are a spark of the infinite, and we are here to spread our spark. Yeah? And the more the society we live in and the culture we live in and the family we live in put certain conditions onto us, And the more our ancestors already lived inside of these conditions without cleaning themselves, without clearing their inner spaces from conditionings, from just doing emotional hygiene practices, the more your spark will kind of be limited. Yeah? Like if you have this strong belief system that rich people suck and all rich people are bad, most probably you will not become rich in your lifetime. Because your spark, the energy that you're supposed to send out, is limited by this thinking. And that's just a very stupid example, yeah? It's kind of the same when you believe very deeply that you are not worthy of love. No matter how much love there is for you on the outside, and no matter how much this outside will want to convey this love to you, you will not be able to fully perceive it. You will not understand how much love there is for you because you believe that you are not worthy of it. Yeah? So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but not because it's really happening. It's because you can't see that it's not happening. Yeah? I know that's a bit complex over here, but so the world could be the most amazing place, but because you are so conditioned and there are so many old conditionings running in your system that the world is not a good place, because maybe your grandpa was in war and he never purged that, he never cleaned that, he never went to therapy, that all goes into your existence. That all goes into your way of thinking, and that's why I believe spirituality is so important, because we need to understand that we are connected, that certain things that happened to our ancestors and they didn't clear are happening again in our today and age with ourselves in maybe another type of movie, but it's the same energy. Yeah? And for me, a spiritual life is about understanding, these are, I like to call them the patterns of self. Yeah? Like, these are my patterns of self. Yeah, let's say my pattern of self is that I don't feel like I'm worthy of being loved. And spirituality then helps me to understand where this thought is coming from. And here it gets rather psychological. Because, the conditionings that do not come from our ancestors normally are programmed by ourselves into our brain when we are very young, like when we are 3 or 4, yeah? So something happens on the outside, like my parents don't pay attention to me, and I really want them to, and they don't. And because I need to make sense of the reality that is happening to me, I tell myself that I am not worthy of attention or that I'm not worthy of love. Okay? And the more I tell myself that story, the more it becomes the truth in my world. Yeah? So, first of all, I need to go back to that part of myself that kind of is still stuck there and tells itself that story. Because, when you go there with your rational mind, more often than not, you understand how stupid these stories are. Like, why should I not be worthy of love? Like, honestly, why? Why is it so much easier to think that than to think that you are actually worthy of love? Because let me tell you, if you weren't worthy of love, you would not be incarnated. It's as simple as that. Being incarnated in a physical human body means that the universe loves you pretty much and pretty strongly, although it might not feel like that. So, when we live a spiritual life, we aim to clear these energies that do not come from the true self, which then would be this energy that gets emitted from the great beyond through our navel, through us, out into the world. And we start to take down all these walls that we build against what is happening right now. Because like when you watch children or animals, there is something that they have in common. And it's that they don't question what is. Yeah? Like, they don't a child can grow up in very poor circumstances, but they don't question this reality unless they see a lot of others or get compared to others who have another reality. The child does not question. It's still in symbiosis with Source. It can suffer, it can cry, it can feel pain, it can be exhausted, and communicate these feelings or these sensations, but it doesn't question that they are there. And I believe, Jesus said that if we want to return to heaven, or if we want to enter heaven, we have to return to the mental state of a child. And I believe that's what he meant. That as long as we deeply believe that the things are wrong, as long as they are not good, then we are on a wrong path. Simply because, from my experience, the way out is through. The way out is in. So that means I have to fully accept whatever is right now, not accept it for it to stay that way, very important, but accept it so that it can transform. The more I fight something, the more I stay in movement just to avoid stillness. Yeah, and when we fight, often we fight because we don't want to accept what is, just even for a second. But with whatever you fight, be it a job, be it a boss, be it a time-consuming person that you don't really like, whatever, accept them for who they are completely, and they will transform. Something will transform. You will transform. But as long as you keep in a fight, you keep your energy focused there. Because here is another thing, that we all know these beautiful spiritual sayings that say so much, but then also do not say a lot at all. And one of them is, energy flows where attention goes. And that's another thing that you can see or understand more clearly when you understand the light tower thing, or that spark thing. That this energy that you are the tool. What you consider as yourself is the tool for this energy to get out into the 3D world. Yeah? So when we focus on something, when we focus our physical body and our mental body or our emotional body onto something, this thing gets more of the chi that is inside of us. So we feed it. Yeah? And all the things that I don't like, all the things that I fight, get so much of my attention when I fight them. When I'm just okay, you are like that now, then I can go on and play with other things that give me joy, like a child would. Yeah? A child might throw a tantrum, but then very quickly they're off doing something else if you don't allow them what they wanted to do. Yeah? It's first they're giving the emotion space of being restricted, being limited, but then they're just okay, that's the way it is, I'll do something else, And somewhere along the way, I believe it's related to school. I know about school a lot, but I really believe that, by repeatedly being in this space where we can make mistakes and it's a bad thing and we get grades and we get all these red markings with our failures on paper and all these things, it does something to us on so many levels. And I believe that this is one of them. Yeah? Because, why do we believe that when something isn't good, it's necessarily unacceptable? Because we learn that in school. And I believe that making a mistake is the only way to not making a mistake. So, by living a spiritual life, I look back on my life and I see where Maybe I put all of my energy by focusing on the outside, by wanting, I don't know, love from other people or attention from other people or hearing that I do a good job from other people. And the thing is that all of these times I lost some energy because I need to be the one that tells that to myself. And then when others say it, I can actually feel it and I can accept it. But as long as I'm only on the outside and I'm always looking for recognition from the outside and I'm always looking for affirmation from the outside, because that's also what we get taught in school, I will never really reach a point where I can really feel it. And I think reaching that point where I am really happy with myself is the biggest goal of spirituality as I live it. You know, being fully accepting of who I am and who I was and who I will be. As, like, you know, I really always imagine, like, myself being this lighthouse, yeah? And then you have this lighthouse and there is like some web of steel over it. And it kind of dims the light. There is a lot of light inside, but it dims the light. And all this web of steel is the patterns of self. Some of them are mine, some of them are my parents, some of them are from even elder ancestors. Some of them maybe I even brought here, you know, with my astral body from previous incarnations. And the goal is not being free of the patterns of self, being like that fully embodied lighthouse that's only giving out light, and being clean and nice and, you know, very looking adorable. No. The goal is to see each string of steel that forms that web as an invitation to see that each of these strings is such a huge teaching in something that the goal is in the understanding, accepting, and then transforming of these steel wires from the inside out with that light that shines through us. Not much more to do, actually. Like, the brain or the mind doesn't have a big job in this. You know, like, there are certain trainings and all of the things I offer aim to do this on a level that the mind will never be able to grasp. Because that's not where the work lies. The work lies in sensing, it lies in experiencing, yeah? The strongest shaman isn't the shaman that was born as that lighthouse without any steel wires. The strongest shaman is the one that was born with almost no light inside with all of these steel wires around him, yeah? Because that's what we chose to live, and that's what we chose to do while we're here. And all the rest is just a little bit cinema on the outside, you know? That's the job, in my opinion. And yeah, as I said, like, you know, because if, like, one day we will be that lighthouse without any restrictions, without any patterns of self, then also this lighthouse will not be what it was before. It will be transformed. Maybe there will be scars from all these wires which make it more unique and more beautiful in its own way. Maybe it will change into something else. You know, maybe it was only a lighthouse as long as these wires were there. Maybe human lighthouses come with steel wires and walls, defense mechanisms, all the time. And then we do the work again and again. Yeah, and so to get a conclusion to this, I know, like, I feel again like I was all over the place, but I hope it made sense to you. So we have this light, and it shines out through us, through everything we do. When we talk, when we listen, when we watch, when we are being watched, when we share, when we experience, when we touch. And because the source that is my light is also the source of your light, is also the source of their light. And all of us created this reality. This reality is created by source. So who the fuck am I to question it? You know? I can accept it, and then I can say, okay, I accept that the world is racist right now. And then I will find ways or understanding how to deal with that. Because the problem isn't racism per se. The problem is the system. The problem is that we do not live how human beings should live, so it's not healthy. And racism is one of the symptoms of a sick society. So I understand that even the pattern of self that's called racism, that funnily enough all the racists think they do not have, is a pattern that Source created for a reason. For us to grow, for us to learn, for us to have a job, for us to have a jail on Earth, because that's the experience. And I don't use like comforting words right now because I really feel or think that, you know, being spiritual is really about accepting uncomfortable things and being okay with things being uncomfortable and things being tough and things being hard, and still accepting that this is not a judgment from God and it's not like anyone did anything wrong. It's just how it is, because this is like a boot camp here. Yeah, we came here to learn. And the more, I believe, like the stronger our path is, or the harder, the more light of spirit we actually convey out into the world. Yeah? The more you really dive deep into the uncomfortable, the brighter your light burns out in the world. And I don't necessarily think that we should go into uncomfortable situations because of that. But staying close to that line, that maybe just do that one thing that feels uncomfortable, but do it anyway. You know, you don't have to do the big thing that's uncomfortable, but do the little thing. Just to stay in contact. Yeah? Because Leonard Cohen said there is a crack in everything, that is how the light gets in. Or Rumi said the wound is where the light enters you. And I really strongly believe that the harder you got broken open by life, or the harder it breaks you open again and again, the more of this source light you can embody. So in the end, my idea of a spiritual life and a spiritual path is very decent. It's very humble. And it's a lot about just making space for more of that universal energy to flow into the world through me without inhibiting it. And the work I can do is to find all the places where I inhibit it and love them so much and accept them so deeply that they dissolve into something else. So yeah, I believe that's a very good end to this episode. If you have any questions towards what I described, please feel free to contact me at info@dadachi.com. And otherwise, I wish you a lovely weekend ahead, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good time, and hear you next week, hopefully. Bye bye.